Boston showed up. Look at that. It's really good to see. And here we have, in total contrast, this is Trump's military parade. This was the crowd. All right, so millions have marched in the No Kings protests around the United States and indeed around the world this past weekend at the same time as the Trump fascistic parade. The military parade has been a complete flop for on his birthday too, which is quite funny. And it shows that the people are starting to show up and protest, starting to realize what's going on with this increasingly authoritarian fascistic regime. Here we see a video. We're going to look at some videos. It's some good news today. Look at this in Philly, the No Kings protest. You can see the number of people there, the sheer amount of people that showed up. There's no denying it. Look at that time lapse of people protesting, people marching in incredible numbers. And so we can look around the country as well. But first, see this headline in The Conversation: millions rally against authoritarianism while the White House portrays protests as threats. And we'll see some examples of how that shows up on the streets here. It seems like any violence that happened mostly was from law enforcement. We'll see some examples of that, of the aggression. And so here we have Boston again to show that it's not just in a few places. This is right around the country. Boston showed up. Look at that. It's really good to see. I've been saying, when are people going to show up? There were some protests, but, leading towards Independence Day, you'd have to say that things might ramp up then as well. But people really starting to protest the ICE raids that started after this week in Los Angeles, and it's culminated in this. And here we have, in total contrast, this is Trump's military parade. This was the crowd.
After only 100 hours of ground combat, the ground offensive was launched in early 1991.
Really sparse crowd there in comparison to the protests. Look at that. It's absolutely incredible. Say he was expecting 250,000 people, and this was right beside the parade route itself. Look at that. Even the bleachers, those bleachers there, empty. Incredible. He looked very disappointed. I'm not going to show pictures of his face here, but he looked downtrodden, disappointed, and this is exactly what people wanted to see, these people protesting. It is a good development, I think, an excellent development if you're against authoritarianism. When I checked on X, which is the platform that has lots of MAGA people, not really talking about how, the parade in terms of the success of it, not showing the crowds and not showing these protests. This is New York. Look at that. People showed up. I think it's New York. Pretty sure that's New York. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think so. And here we have in Oakland, Broadway in Oakland, another time lapse of people showing up there. So very widespread, people protesting no kings in the US. And that's what we want to see, is this dangerous authoritarianism creeping in, not just in the US, but in different places around the world. And so this is the way to do it. People showing up to show their displeasure of what's going on, and at the same time as people not showing up for the military parade. So an excellent contrast here. By the way, if you're getting value out of this episode so far, I'd really appreciate it if you remember to hit that like button to help the algorithm to spread it to more people. It really would help. It does help big time with the algorithm. Thanks. So on not such a great note, so this was in Las Vegas. Somebody with a bird's eye view of law enforcement here really attacking people. I mean, nobody is rioting. It says nobody is breaking any laws. These are cops in my city of Las Vegas just assaulting and arresting anyone on Fremont Street who looks at them. This is fascism. So we'll just have a look at this and then I'll talk about it a little bit. Oh, shit! So really you saw there people not really doing anything. They just had cameras. They were just standing there videoing what was going on, and there were no rioters, no protesters to be seen. And so you can see the aggression of law enforcement encouraged by the Trump regime, no doubt. It's making these people aggressive, emboldened to do things like this. We're seeing these things played out. And we're going to see Los Angeles, the site of what happened last week. And this journalist who's been there all week, he's saying in this clip, he thinks that the protesters were peaceful and it was law enforcement that was being aggressive because that's what the Trump administration wants. They want to inflame the situation so they can crack down. We saw that something happened last week. It was focused on the burning Waymos and projectiles being thrown. But here, this journalist is saying that it was actually coming mostly from the law enforcement side. Let's see what he says.
It's David, Chris, but what you have behind me is Temple and Main Street. Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department are deploying CS gas, tear gas, pepper spray, and flashbang grenades in large numbers. They have mounted units pushing directly up against protesters. I want to show you, but over here is the remnants of the peaceful protest that happened earlier today on the other side of Main Street, right next to City Hall, which is where the march started this morning. I don't know if you can hear me okay. I'm wearing my gas mask because I'm literally surrounded by the chemical agents that those guys, the county sheriff's department, the LA County sheriffs, have been deploying against this crowd. The point I want to make, flashbangs, the point I want to make very clear, Chris, is that obviously I'm only one person. I can't account for the actions of every protester, but every single gathering that I saw today was 100% peaceful. I didn't see anybody throw anything. I saw some people antagonizing the Marines and the National Guard, and that's about the extent of it. Nevertheless, and I've been here all week, Chris, and local law enforcement, LAPD, county sheriffs, and state police, CHP, California Highway Patrol, have been responding to these peaceful gatherings with overwhelming numbers. Tremendous more. I've covered protests in the U.S. and abroad for years, and I've never seen the ratio of police to protesters that I've seen in recent days.
See, what he's saying there is that there's tear gas around, flashbang grenades going off, and mostly, he said 100% peaceful protesters, what he saw there. So, cops on horseback. We've got multiple law enforcement agencies there, including National Guard, Marines, and it's looking like they want to fight there, but the crowd being peaceful, the protesters being peaceful, and as I said, is what the Trump administration wants, is to have conflict so he can crack down. People are talking about martial law, like he wants this so he can be more authoritarian. I think people are starting to understand that, and we saw millions, literally millions of people peacefully protesting, very few incidents of violence whatsoever. And so this is really good to see. And again, at the same time as the Trump parade was an absolute flop, a disappointing flop. And he wanted one of these military parades that we see around the world that are, impressive visually. We didn't even see that. Not many people showing up. He looked dejected, and the people in the administration, the cabinet members there, and other people looked bored. They looked absolutely bored. So it was a flop. So good to see that people are rising up to protest peacefully against this increasingly authoritarian regime in the United States. It's really good to see. Right now, I'm going to put a related video right there. Do go and see that now if you want to. And a subscribe link on screen. Do subscribe. This is a relatively new channel bringing politics videos as opposed to the main channel. So do follow along. I'm doing these regularly now. So thanks for joining me here on this one, and I'll see you in the next one.